What other prime minister could go through as many scandals as Trudeau has had and stuck around for as long as he did? The fucker is literally still the prime minister. He quit like 2 months ago. He's still what? The fucker's still around.
He'll prorogue as long as he needs to.
And he gets to pick the next one, apparently.
To save democracy,
he gets to pick the next guy.
He's saving democracy by not allowing it to happen. I'm generally an embarrassing person, so doesn't hurt me that much.
It was a big moment. It was an important moment.
It was.
Canadian.
And Mitch Marner with a great pass.
Mitch Marner came up huge there.
He's big. He had 2 assists that game, I think.
Yeah. 2 very nice assists, and the whole team came up huge.
Pay that man.
Love to
$20
see
million a year.
Absolutely love to see Connor McDavid get that winning goal. That was sick.
I'd have made that save.
You would have made that save?
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay
Not
there.
even,
okay there, bud.
Not even a question. Glove high? The guy's going glove high all day long. McDavid, glove high, easy.
Yeah, it was a real quick play.
I'd have had it. I'd have had it.
All right. So we'll start this podcast off with Schmitty saying that he would have saved Connor McDavid's game-winning goal.
Put me in, coach.
And you're listening to the new episode of the GoFU Newscast. Thanks.
Oh, I thought this was KBBL.
Thanks for tuning in. I mean, KBBL Radio. So we'll start off.
Coffee was dangerously close to falling on your laptop.
Start off with that bullshit. Oh.
You would have been down dozens of dollars had that ancient laptop gotten caught.
The one that shipped with Windows 8.
I think it did, yeah. Windows 8.
Jeez. What a garbage OS.
I had Windows 8 that I got from being in school. Yeah. And I used that thing all the way to what I have now. I haven't changed that code, but it's allowed me to update it every time. So I'm not going to. I have a soft heart for Windows 8.
All right. Well, now we've had 3 false starts on the podcast because no one's going to give a fuck about that.
I mean, it's fine. Windows 8 rules.
All right. Anyway, well, thanks for being here. Let's jump right into this. Some recent news. So the Liberal Party has recently disqualified leadership candidate Ruby Dalla from the race over extremely serious violations. So apparently the 2 Liberal leadership committees unanimously decided to disqualify the former MP Ruby Dalla in the race to become leader of the party on Friday, alleging that she breached no less than 10 violations of the rules of the race, including inaccurate financial reporting. But according to Dalla, she dismissed the allegations against her as baseless and claimed they were an attack on her ethnic origin. Quoted as saying, "I will not allow my campaign to be tarred with baseless allegations of foreign interference because of my Indian heritage and being the daughter of an immigrant," she wrote on social media. "These types of comments are a direct attack on all immigrants, which I will not allow."
What were the attacks?
How will she not allow it? Okay, so
fraud?
The Liberals are saying the violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada Elections Act, certain other election finance matters, non-disclosure of material facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. He continued, adding that violations were extremely serious.
So essentially fraud, right?
Sounds like it.
Sounds like some kind of monetary fraud.
Non-disclosure and inaccurate financial reporting. Well, that sounds like some kind of fraud.
And she's linking this to her race? No, what are we calling this these days? Ethnicity. Sorry. She's linking it to that.
Well, it's been working for everybody up until recently.
I guess that's true, right? You just immediately say racism and you're good to go. Well,
the funny thing here is that perhaps coincidentally, the Liberal Party waited a couple of days after she had deposited the non-refundable $350,000 fee for being able to run in the.
What moron would ever pay that money? Because there's no chance.
Well, it's not her money. She had to raise it.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah. But it's there's not a chance that anybody but Mark Carney's getting in. What are you doing? Wasting your money. And the Liberals are just sitting there being is this they're attempting to get more? Are they out of money? Are they the NDP?
Oh, yeah. Well, they've been
need to trick these people into paying us?
They've been outraised by the Conservatives insanely over the past 2 years. So they do need money.
Well, generally, people with blue hair and nose rings that have 16 genders don't have a lot of money, generally.
But the Chinese Communist Party's got a fair bit of money.
They do, but now they're not allowing them to do their thing anymore, right? They're trying to crack down on their interference or whatever. So that becomes harder, maybe.
I wonder where Mark Carney got his $2 million.
Yeah, where they just got him flew in there. Yeah, that's true.
But, he's well connected, so he says. So.
Yeah, well, he's always been a Canadian. Forever.
You ever hear him in interviews?
I've only watched the Colbert one.
That was
Was it
Jon
Colbert?
Stewart.
The Stephen Colbert one. The John Colbert one was really good to watch. I enjoyed it. The Stephen Stewart.
Well, I mean, he didn't do terrible.
I thought he was
that. Like
personable.
that
I
was
was
good.
like,
But I think he's too much like Michael Ignatieff in the sense that people are like,
that is a tough name to say.
do you remember? Yeah, but do you remember that?
I do. Yes.
Yeah, like he had all this ammo against himself that he handed to the conservatives by not being around.
But he's had a lot of ammo that he's been recorded saying some ridiculous shit for like
Carney's like
all the globalists.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's
So he's embracing like,
he's just doing it.
They criticize me as a globalist. Well, I say that's what we need
That's what
right
we need
now.
right
Like what the fuck are you talking about?
We could probably need help here, please. Yeah.
It's like the key thing we need to do is to take Canadian taxpayer dollars and ship it overseas, and so that third world countries can learn about gender pronouns, and that's really
to me it's the Dave Chappelle where he's like, man, I didn't do that to his couch. I got more sense than that. And then without cutting, he's like, yeah, I did that to his couch. It's basically that, but with Mark Carney being like, no, we don't want no pipeline going here. We get no yeah, we want the pipeline over here. Like it's the same shit. It's like everyone can see this now, and you can. It's the internet, idiots.
Oh,
it's there.
It's so bizarre because all the liberals now are basically reversing all the positions they've held over the last 9 years. And he's like, you guys are on camera day after day, standing up in the House of Commons, yelling and screaming about how you're right and how the conservatives are racist, climate denying, Islamophobes, whatever. And now you're just like, oh, okay, well, we do need to cut immigration and the carbon tax thing isn't working and blah, blah, blah. Like, and we're supposed to believe you now after how long?
Yeah, it's that's why politics is so. I hate politics. I hate it. It just
ruins everything.
It hurts, and
it sucks.
We wouldn't have to do this stupid podcast if we had some semblance, any little modicum of working government. Like, we'd be like, right? Like, we don't need much.
I wish so much our government was like boring, serious, and competent.
Like, do you remember that with Stephen Harper? The worst thing you said about Stephen Harper was he was a robot, and I want that robot now. It's so much better. Like now it's just craziness. It's like scandal after scandal where like that fucking SNC Lavon, whatever that scandal is coming back again and rearing. I was like, how did it go away in the first place? Like it boggled my mind how that left the zeitgeist in the first place. Like how did he not get fired immediately? I was watching that. I can't remember when it was. 2017? It was like pretty early on.
It's so it's so funny because like Trudeau likes to pretend that he's the anti-Trump, but he's so similar to Trump in so many ways. And one of them is that like scandal after scandal fucking hits this guy, and it doesn't matter. He's still around. Like what other prime minister could go through as many scandals as Trudeau has had and stuck around for as long as he did? The fucker is literally still the prime minister. He quit like 2 months ago. He's still what? The fucker's still around.
Hey. He'll prorogue as long as he needs to.
And like he gets to pick the next one, apparently.
To save democracy.
He gets to pick the next guy.
He's saving democracy by not allowing it to happen.
And meanwhile, it's like fucking Chandra Arya is out, Ruby Dahl is out. Is Karina Gould and Chrystia Freeland even like real contenders? Who the fuck is Frank Bayless?
That's the first time I've ever heard his name. Sounds like it was made up just so we could add more.
Although I will say the only reason I knew who Ruby Dahl was the fucking campaign launch photo of her like pretending like she's on the cover of Vogue.
Is that the one where she looks like a stripper?
Well, she looks like something, but it's not what she normally like. It's not what she really looks like.
Because I'm like, why are they putting like a stripper on? I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
No, I think you might be thinking about it. Yeah.
No, it's politics are just fucked, and I just want to close my eyes, wake up, and it's over. And we have some semblance of normalcy. Like, nothing, none of this.
Unfortunately, the next 4 years will not be normal because Donald Trump is just going to like.
He's a bit of a wild card.
Stick his fucking nose in everything.
I'm not super worried about Donald Trump more than I'm worried about. Like, I'm much less worried about Donald Trump's crazy than I am about the corruptness of my own governments, right? Like, I'm much more.
I'm worried about everything, man.
I am, but like,
fucking, what are you talking about?
But like. In my mind, Trump is he wants to make sure that his country does better, right? Essentially.
Sure, but knock it off with the fucking 51st state
But
nonsense.
he's a crazy asshole. Like my wife was like, is he really going to do this? And I'm like, under what condition does he have the ability to make us the 51st state? Is he going to invade Canada with an army? I doubt that. So then what does he have to do it? He's just being Donald Trump blowhard.
You doubt it.
Always is.
But like, lots of people doubt lots of
Right.
things.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm naive and maybe I'm stupid here, but in my mind, he's bloviating like he's bloviated in the past, and I'm not worried about him taking over Canada. That being said, I am excited that he likes to make deals, and I feel like Canada is in such a bad position right now where we have just been like, hey, what's the good things of Canada? What do we have that like we can really give to the world and make ourselves like, strong and wealthy? And it's like the last 9 years we've taken that and just thrown it in the shithole. We're like, hey, we have lots of fossil fuels. Let's just get rid of them. Hey, we have lots of like minerals and resources. Let's just get rid of. Like we've taken all of the things we actually have and can contribute to the world and just thrown them in the shithole. So it's like I'm hoping now that since Trump wants the U.S. to do well, and I cannot see any situation where Canada and the U.S. do not enter a pretty severe recession, especially with all the stuff he's been cutting back on. It's going to be a big recession. So he's going to need to kind of like make things more efficient, and he's going to need our minerals and our oils and all that shit. And hopefully now we'll actually be able to get it to the States. Because before with Biden, we weren't building pipelines with Biden. We weren't doing any kind of like minerals. But hopefully now with drill baby drill and like actually having hopefully a conservative government that's like, hey, maybe instead of trying to prove that we're the greatest, most noblest country ever and like killing our economy, maybe we'll do the opposite and actually start using our resources as opposed to just like not. And like that brings a level of prosperity to the average Canadian that will be back to where it was, 9 years ago when we were on par with the United States. Like wouldn't any single human being in Canada right now, if you could say, hey, I'll give you the wealth of the United States, will you take it? Everyone's going to say yes. Right? So if we can get back to that parity, I'd love to see it.
Well, of course, who wouldn't? But that requires a certain number of things, which, like, we'll see. Maybe they won't be able to get done. Like, the whole East-West pipeline nonsense. Like, our oil needs to go through the States to get from the West to the East.
Well, our oil needs to go. We need a pipeline all the way through.
Yeah.
So we can give our oil to whatever country says they'll give us the most. Because right now, we send our oil to the States at a discount. Like the shit that Trump was saying about how we're like, what does he say? We suck on the teat of them for $200 billion. It's like, dude, do you understand? We give you oil at a discount. That's the cheapest oil you can get. We're basically subsidizing you. And that's the trade imbalance there. That's where the trade imbalance comes from. Everything else we get from the States. There's the massive trade imbalance is from the oil we send you at a discount. Like, are you insane? That's why the oil was 10% tariff, right? Like, because... Well, that's actually going to hurt the Americans a lot more.
Yeah, and it's obvious that that's the reason. And it was so funny to me when he kept going on about like, oh, Canada has nothing we need, but we're only going to tariff the energy 10%. It's like, okay, well, you just fucking played you just showed everybody.
But that's
your hand
what I mean.
There, buddy.
He's a blowhard. He's just trying to make a deal. His book literally says the first thing you do is you go in a deal when you're making a deal and you say the most outrageous shit you can possibly say, and then you meet somewhere in the middle, and then you probably meet somewhere further on his side than you do in the middle, and then so it looks a little bit more sane, right? Like if you start by saying we're going to make you the 51st state, and then you end up being, hey, we actually get rid of tariffs entirely, then that's a good balance, I'd say. Because like right now,
it might make for good negotiating, but it doesn't make for like good ally and friendship building.
Terrible. But that's the thing. He's not interested in making an ally. He's interested in
but we were already allies, and now he's destroying that allyship.
But I think, and this is just me guessing, I think he sees, or maybe the administration sees, that Canada's much more in bed with China than it is with the States right now. Like with all the fentanyl shit all that stuff.
That's probably true.
So it's like, but like in some way, I'm thinking
that's not your fault, and that's not my fault. And so his actions, like while they might be effective for as far as his goals are concerned, there are second order effects that like
for sure
will not be good for America.
And it's for Canada or America?
Both.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. He's basically trying to fix the helicopter by smashing it with a sledgehammer. It's like, this'll fix it. Catage. Like, I don't see... But like when the helicopter's already not working, like what's the worst you're going to do to it, right? Like
It's an interesting analogy.
We're so fucked in terms. We're so fucked in terms of we're so. There's so much corruption in government right now that goes towards China and things that aren't helping Canadians anyways.
Yeah.
It's like blow that shit up. Like get rid of the fact that the RCMP and stuff is basically in bed with the fentanyl people that are like, have you seen Sam Cooper's report? This is like years ago he came out with this report. And it's basically like they are using the Mexican cartels are in with the triads from China.
Yeah.
And they are bringing in the fentanyl precursors here, creating it here because they basically paid off the harbors and everything to not check when that shit goes in and to not care. And then they send it out to everyone. And the RCMP is being bought off, apparently. I don't know if that's true, but apparently it's like everyone knows about this, but nobody's doing anything about it. So they're pretty sure. And it goes to all the so basically Beijing is paying our politicians to look the other way so that they can bring this in here and then laundry the money through the casinos and then funnel that money through real estate. So essentially, the drug trade is a way for Chinese people to get their money out of like China into real estate in Canada, and as well with the it's like it's crazy.
Yeah, no,
I
read one recently that talked about all that. Yeah,
holy shit! And everyone's known about this for like forever, and they're still like, no, there's no problem. And it's
but we're back to my point. Like, how do we mobilize against that? Are you and I supposed to like fucking march down to Ottawa? Like we saw what happened last time. People marched down to Ottawa waving Canadian flags.
You need the United States to say, hey, fuck ups, fix your shit. Like that's essentially what they're doing. Fix your shit that we see is going on. Like apparently it got so bad that the Five Eyes would be like, they'd come in for a briefing. And then when Canada got there, they'd be like, no more briefing. The states would go for a briefing with other countries. Canada would get there and they know they're so compromised that they would just say, sorry, briefing's over.
Yeah.
It's like at that point, holy shit, get your shit together. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
so
man. I agree with all that, but
so essentially that's what I am hoping that's what the plan is here, but who knows? Could just be planless and just him trying to
I'd still rather attempt to save Canada than just bow down to the States and say take us over, please.
But let's get real. Without the United States, what is Canada? We have no pipelines going to east and west. We're so big and we have so much fucking tariffs in between all the provinces. We can't ship things through there. Like we're so screwed with other states.
That's insane. But again, one of like the reasons that Canada became a country was to fight off American aggression. It's sort of like the impetus for our existence, and we've been doing it the whole time. So it's not like this is that new of a thing. So to be like, what is Canada without the States? It's like, yeah, in a sense, but like we are Canada because of our resistance to the States.
Right, but it seems like we as Canadians and as Canada, we have allowed ourselves to get in a situation where we are incapable of doing anything without them, right? Whether that's through their corruption
and
or
that's
through
like
Beijing's corruption or like
that's through like our government corruption. Like that's fine, but like I still would rather Canadians find a way to fix that.
I would love for Canadian to fix that, but it seems like we haven't done anything for 9 years, and it seems like apparently the government can just be shut down when you just say you want to shut it down because you're going to lose in the polls. Like,
yeah, well,
we're a joke. We're a joke right now. This is a fucking joke.
This is definitely
a joke.
A problem.
And like to be like, oh, we're Canadians. It's like, no, your government system is a joke right now. You're a laughing stock and you're pathetic. This is where we're at. Either there's big changes, and if one of the ways that we get big changes is by crazy Donald Trump screaming and yelling at the clouds, at least hopefully we can get these changes. Because the status quo is killing us. We are dying. We are so dying. Like everyone can feel it who lives anywhere near Canada. You can't buy things. You can't buy real estate. You can't buy food. You can't.
Do you think the conservatives are as corrupted as the liberals?
That's the thing. I don't know. I have a sneaky feeling that they are just as corrupt. Because this system, the way our system is set up, we don't have enough checks and balances to prevent this kind of insidious corruption. Like we're so small relative to the players that are corrupting that it's so hard not to get corrupted, right? With our checks and balances that we have.
don't think the size is the real problem. I think it's like this culture of people not understanding that there is a problem, not understanding what the problem is, or not having like not having enough loyalty to the country and like
sure.
having a culture that allows this. And like, yeah, that's like, you could say that's like Canada's fault, but it's like, don't put everyone under that umbrella
Right.
as
No,
far
I'm
as
not,
like
I'm not blaming
whose
Canadians
fault
for how
that
poorly.
is.
I am saying it is when you have a democratic society, you have to put the blames on the people that have voted for this shit. Right? Like,
Yeah, but that's like pretending everyone votes the same way. Some people voted for the opposite of what is happening.
well,
Like, and then like, so what? You're supposed to get into a civil war every time the vote doesn't go your way?
no. But like when because we saw all this shit years ago, and he's still in power through this insane broken system. Like I was at the point with the last election where I was like, with the United States election, where I was like, I don't think he's like, Trump's not going to get in because it's so rigged. You know, they'll probably just rig it. Like that's how cynical I was at that point.
So has your cynicism been lessened to a degree?
Well, I don't know because like I'm like, well, clearly
Wasn't rigged enough to
it wasn't
stop
rigged
him.
enough to stop him, right? Like there wasn't enough rigging. But how much rigging is there? Like, because if Canada, because we're so much less conservative than the Americans are in terms of like overall, right? Like,
Sure.
most crazy old people in the States are like, fuck you, some bitch. Whereas in Canada, they're like, oh, that poor guy. Like, they've been spoon-fed CBC for so long, they can't even see any of this shit that has been like happening to their country because CBC doesn't report on it. CBC doesn't talk about SNC Lavalin and how crazy that was. It doesn't talk about any of the shit they've been into because they're bought and paid for by the government. So for the last, I don't know how many decades, CBC has been basically telling everybody what the government wants them to hear. It's like,
Yeah.
we're all propagandized to the point where we don't really like our population is not the same as the States, right? So I'm really worried that we're not going to have any change. We're just going to have another, basically liberal in conservative clothing.
But like, if the polls stay with the Conservatives in the lead and the Conservatives win the election, Pierre has made his tone even more conservative recently.
hope
Like
so.
it's not, he's not
I haven't
saying
heard him though.
Well,
He hasn't said shit.
you haven't been listening, man. Didn't you
Maybe
watch
not.
the Canada First speech rally?
No.
Okay, well that was
I've been
a huge
slightly
fucking
out of
speech
it.
for him, man. Like he laid out a lot of things. So
Okay.
like you're kind of behind.
Maybe
there.
I'm behind. Maybe
You're a bit behind
because I know he was real quiet for a long time.
Yeah,
there,
no, dude.
And I
Like
was
literally, like right after all the shit was hitting the fan, with fucking Trump and the tariffs and everything. Like he made when was this? Like
I remember he did a video being like, "We'll never be the 51st state," kind of stuff. Which obviously, like, anybody's going to say that because that's a ridiculous notion that we're going to be.
No, but he had like a real long speech where he laid out a lot of things, like his plan for. It's like we're gonna build a military base in the Arctic, and we're gonna double our Arctic Ranger force, and we're gonna do East-West pipeline, and we're gonna do like,
perfect.
Right?
That's exactly what I wanna
like,
hear.
He said everything
Isn't that
I
what
wanted.
Mark Carney's saying now, though?
Yeah, of course. But basically, he said everything I wanted to hear him say, and so it's like, okay, you can't say like he's saying the same things as the Liberals. If they get voted in, that's because Canadians
I hope so.
overwhelmingly want
He-
these things. Now, if he doesn't do them, that's a separate
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't say
First
that
past the post.
you can't say that like Canadians didn't see and learn the effects of like what happened. It's like, okay, look at the polling numbers over the past 3 years. Canadians have seen the effect of what's been going on, and they've overwhelmingly changed their mind. Like the
it's-
people who do change their mind, like those people in the middle.
But when you have this kind of situation where you're allowing a government that's a minority
It was
government
a week ago.
to like stay in power as long as something's wrong with this system. This system needs to be changed.
Well, blame all the fuckers who voted NDP, and then blame Jagmeet Singh, and then blame all the like.
I do,
yeah.
I do. But like the fact that there was that many people that voted for these things, like you've made your bed, like right? Like it sucks for the rest of us that didn't make that bed, but fuck, we gotta lie in this shithole for another however long Trudeau wants to be in power, which apparently is however long he wants, because apparently you can just prorogue forever.
No,
I hope- have they- have they-
Parliament has to sit at least once every year.
Have
That's the rule.
Have they voted on that yet? Has the ruling come out in the court case?
I haven't.
Because I know they finished.
I thought that like the timing was like it was basically going to be moot.
I don't care. I want a ruling.
Yeah, of course.
I want them to say that this shit's fucked.
This shit's fucked. Officially, this shit
Is fucked. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah. Man.
So like that's my fear. And if the Liberals get in one more time, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not staying here. And my wife's super pissed when I say this, but yeah, I can't stay here. I can't stay in a country in a country you see is just dying before you.
Where are you gonna go?
Fuck if I know. Somewhere that actually isn't a shithole. Which good luck. And the thing is, I love this country so much, and if we were just not so corrupt, it would be amazing. Like,
You realize there's many places that are even more corrupt.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many more corrupt places, but like when it's this blatant, getting out of hand, it's like, come on, stop voting in the people that are this like horribly corrupt. And I have a feeling that they're not going to get in this time, even with Mark Carney. For some reason, people love Mark Carney. Like,
I think that's all artificial.
You think so?
Nobody knows who he is really. I don't think. Like
he's the Bank of
a leadership
England.
campaign like is one thing, but then if in an election now you're starting to like campaign to the Canadian population
People.
at large,
Yeah,
and like
maybe.
people start paying more attention.
But
like,
I think people are still so just stupid. They're like, if it's
Lots of
I'm
people.
voting Liberal as long as it's not Trudeau. Like maybe that's the like.
there are some people who are probably like that.
Idiots. And it's so sad. It's like, if Paul Yere goes through with all the stuff he's saying and he gets like elected, you know, I think our country has a good chance of repairing itself, at least partially. But I do not see a situation where we will not be in a severe recession and a very painful one starting like this year, basically. Because the things we were running on for the longest time, both countries actually, was super, super amounts of immigration. And like when you turn that tap off, when you have less people in your country, your GDP just drops, right? So I have a feeling we're going to be in a pretty hardcore recession. And I think the middle class has actually been in a recession for like 3 years. Like we've felt it. Whereas like the super poor haven't felt it because they've been getting all these subsidies, and the super rich have just been getting ungodly amounts of money, right? Through all this horseshit and corruption and basically ability to offset inflation in terms of your assets. Like that's essentially it. That's why anyone who owns a home is like, you're golden, because it's your income, what you can, when they inflate, it hurts the lowest people first who don't have any assets. And the people with the assets, the inflation stays with their assets, right? So it basically pumps it all into their assets. So I think the middle class has felt really shitty for a few years now. And I'm hoping that that's enough people that they can vote out this nonsense and get an actual, like, something to help the middle class and to help Canadians, essentially, instead of just the super poor, the immigrants we bring in, and the super wealthy. Like, it's like, you can't sustain this. You can't keep going on like that.
Oh, I think you're seeing that because, like, you know, you have a small percentage of people paying like most of the taxes.
Most of the time. And most of those people are from the middle class.
Yeah, right. So it's like, as a taxpayer, there's no way I'm voting for more of the same.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely no way. And I feel like lots of people see that or feel the same way, and that's what you're seeing in the polls.
I hope so. Yeah. God, I hope so. But they've like through, I know in the States at least, it was illegal immigration. And like that can be, you basically just deport people. We can't deport these people we brought in, right?
Yeah, we can. Starting real soon. Dude, in the next 2 years, like millions of people are,
they don't have to leave,
their
though.
status is expiring. They don't have to leave. Like, it's honor system, but if we find them, we can deport them.
But it's honor system. It's like, they're not going to leave. Like
No, I don't think they're going to leave either.
They
But
had
like,
giant protests in like,
yeah, it was insane, man. Like
Was it Brampton?
the entitlement that these people
We're
feel
like,
is ridiculous.
they were chanting like, Canadians have to go. Get out of your...
It's like,
this is
like,
our country now.
You were given a temporary visa, and you think you just get to stay forever?
that's-
And you get like, what?
See, to me, that seems weird because it's so... Like, it's so backwards that I think they must be paid off to say that. Like, I feel like it's too weird. Like, you couldn't be that entitled to be like, we're here now. This is our country.
Maybe they just like see everything that's going on in Canada and like everything the mainstream media talks about, and they're like, oh, this is how Canadians feel. If we just complain and say, hey, we're brown and you're racist, they'll give us everything.
Maybe.
Like, it's a legitimate way to think, considering if you just watched how Canada's acted like officially in the last 10 years.
Maybe. 9 years.
Whatever. Yeah, but it's like that's a legitimate, reasonable way to think. Look at like it began with like Trump first term, and then Trudeau like did that tweet where he's like, Canada will welcome everyone, and then he's like, bitch, do you realize what you just fucking did?
Well, we kind of have. Like, it's crazy. The amount of immigration has been off the charts. Like, it's insane.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry, just this the other day. So the fucking immigration minister, right, Mark Miller, good old wedding party member of Justin Trudeau. He I fucking tweeted about it. I can't stand this guy and the shit that comes out of his mouth. Look at this. I'm gonna pull this up here.
Who's Mark Miller?
The immigration minister.
Is this the babysitter?
No, that's Dominic LeBlanc. Mark, he was in his wedding party.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Man, Justin Trudeau was very lucky to have all these politicians be like near as close. Considering he wasn't really a politician, it's impressive.
I mean,
Babysitters and wedding party guys. That's impressive.
I thought I tweeted about it. Hold on, let me just pull it up.
Tweeted. It's X'd. You X'd about it. I think, even though I don't think you made me make a Twitter account, and I have not seen it in years.
Okay, so yeah, here he is. Immigration Minister Mark Miller accused Canadian universities of sourcing too many students from India and said he expects a better diversity of international students in the future. He also said Canada needs to return to relying on quality over quantity of immigrants. I think we do need to make sure that the Canadian brand does focus on excellence on quality and less quantity, he said. The comments were delivered at a media roundtable in Brampton, Ontario, one of the Canadian cities most impacted by an
Was he
unprecedented...
stoned to death like immediately after that?
So this is the part that really gets me. He goes, where is it? Oh, here he goes.
They wouldn't take kindly to that kind of talk.
So he goes, he opened the event by saying that he expected hopes will be dashed as many of Canadians' millions of temporary residents see their visas expire without having secured permanent residency. So no one was guaranteed automatic permanent residency. And then he goes, although he allowed that there... Here he is. Miller also maintained that none of the massive increase in immigration was his government's fault, placing the blame instead on colleges, provincial governments, and other bad actors who sponsored outsized numbers of international migrants, sometimes under fraudulent grounds. Although he allowed that there probably should have been better oversight, but that's water under the bridge.
That's right.
You fucking asshole. Who has the authority to let people into the country, right?
I know that when I'm looking for a leader, I want the person that takes zero responsibility. That's the leader I'm looking for. I want the leader that says, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. It's someone else's fault. That's a leader. That's a true leader right there.
Fuck yeah. Okay, and then here's the next best part. He goes, the current waiting list just to have an asylum claim reviewed is up to 3 years, during which time the claimant can stay in Canada and even secure work permits and government benefits. Miller said that if Parliament wasn't currently prorogued, he would introduce a bill to ensure that student asylum claims were dealt with in a more efficient fashion. So if it wasn't for the fact that Parliament was suspended, which was my party's fucking fault so that we could cling on to power because my leader's a narcissistic maniac, then, well, I could introduce a bill to make things more efficient and clean up this mess. But I can't. Oh well.
Oh well.
Whose fault is this?
It's water under the bridge.
Water under the bridge, folks. Water under the bridge. Probably could have been some more oversight. Oh well. These fucking people destroy the country and then they shrug their shoulders and go, oh, it wasn't my fault.
That's what I mean.
I could fix it if it wasn't for us. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, this prorogation is just absurd. The fact that it's even allowed, the fact that they were even allowed to have a scandal where they had billions of dollars in slush fund money going to random people in the Liberal vicinity, and then when they're like, hey, show us the documents, give a little bit of, you prove where this money went to, they're like, we're not giving it to you. So then was it the Speaker of the House is like, dude,
you have to,
who's been appointed by the Liberals is like, dude, this is crazy even for me to not being agreeing with, please present them. And they're like, sorry.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
We lost them. Yeah. Everyone sees what's happening here, but CBC's not going to report on this. No, fucking nobody's going to see it. My mom's still going to think everyone's a racist. Jesus Christ. That's something I wanted to ask. How's the PPC? Is that the name of it?
Yeah, People's Party.
How's that party doing? Because I'm worried.
About the same as the last few years, right?
Are they still in it? Are they in the
writings? No, man. They've got they poll around 2 to 3% usually.
Because I'm worried that they're going to pull an NDP where it's like you're going to have the people not vote Conservative because they're worried like I am, and then vote PPC and then split the vote.
No, I think that was the worst fucking thing that could happen at this point.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Terrible. I was a PPC member. I voted PPC in the last election.
You're a Nazi.
But I have to vote Conservative this time, and I would encourage other people to, even though I think I would prefer to see Maxime Bernier have a shot based on the fact that he's been saying things that I like for far longer.
But he is a Nazi.
I didn't know that. Damn.
Yeah, CBC said it.
Fuck.
Pretty sure.
Well, they never lie about anything.
He said something about we need to make sure Canadians are okay. So he's a Nazi.
Wow, what a racist.
What a racist. The fact that he said Canadians, what a racist.
Dude, if I thought there was a chance of flipping everyone from Conservative to PPC right now, I'd be like, yeah, maybe we should do that. That could be good. But there's no fucking way it's going to happen, and we can't split the vote.
Yeah, don't split the vote.
So the best thing we can do right now is like next government's conservative, and then we can shift the whole culture back to the right a little bit, and then maybe the PBC can start getting some seats and like shift more people that way.
What they need to do is get Polyear in power, and then somehow Maxime Bernier just kind of is like, "Hi, I'm Elon Musk," and then he's the
Yeah,
Elon
but
Musk guy.
like you know the history about why he
I
is.
don't know.
No,
don't know
he started the
politics.
PPC because he lost the Conservative Party leadership vote by like 1%.
Wow.
Right? It was like 51-49. Aaron O'Toole won, and then and then Aaron O'Toole,
He's the worst.
backtracked on all the like conservative stances he had after winning the leadership, became more of like a red Tory, was basically liberal light, lost the election obviously because nobody fucking wanted that. And then here we have Bernier with the PBC starting a new party that's not going to do well. Like if he had just won the conservative leadership,
Yeah.
like holy fuck, we'd be in a different spot.
The thing I don't understand is you have O'Toole won the leadership. He was awful. And then you had Andrew Scheer. Didn't he do it at one point?
And like he's
To me, Andrew
conservative, but
to
he's
me,
not.
Andrew Scheer, like, don't know him personally. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. He is a greasy used car salesman when I see his face. When I see that smug face, I'm just like, I trust nothing that comes out of your mouth. I have no idea what his politics are. I just see his face and his grin, and I'm like, that is a guy who's going to sell me a car, and the tires are going to fall off halfway down the first mile.
That's unfortunate that that's just your reaction to his
it's
appearance.
the same as the Christopher Freeland is the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah.
It's just what I see.
That's too bad.
And I'm sorry. Like, I don't know.
And that might be why he lost.
Maybe. Because I wouldn't, again, I'm not going to vote for that. So, like,
Fuck.
to me, Paul
I'm not gonna vote for that.
No. So, Polyev, I love how all the names are pronounced different every time someone on TV talks about Polyev.
Polyev.
Is it Polyev?
Polyev.
Polyev.
I don't know if you pronounce like the R at the end,
R?
or if it's just like Polyev.
Because
It's like if it's basically silent at the end, it might be like that.
To me, he's the perfect balance between I see him a little skeezy, but he also seems to have a heart and he seems to like be serious about helping Canadians. Where it's like, that's not the same with Andrew Scheer or O'Toole.
And like, you could have Justin Trudeau and Pierre Poilievre say the same words to the same people, and I would like it better when Poilievre said it.
Yeah.
Because I know Trudeau is like, he's
Lying.
putting on this like actor face and voice.
It's a facade.
And it's like, I see through it so much. Like, it's like, I can't help but be like, oh, you're doing your actor thing. Right? Like every time he speaks, oh, here's the Trudeau actor thing. Like, it's not real.
It's not real. He's never said a real thing in his
Never
life.
said a fucking real thing. And but with
terrifying.
Poilievre, it's like, okay, I can believe that you believe these
Especially
words.
when he's eating an apple. Like
Yeah.
That's like as soon as he gets
And like,
that apple.
and like maybe he doesn't, and he's just a better actor. In
That's
that
what I'm more worried
I can't
about.
tell that he's acting, but at least like with Trudeau, it's just like no fucking chance, buddy.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
That brings me on to the next thing. We have a provincial election coming up now.
You gonna vote?
I don't know what to do. Pray tell, I'd like to get some more information because I know jack shit about provincial shit. I kind of interested into seeing what your thoughts are.
I don't know if like anyone thinks the way I do about provincial politics. I'm sure I'll probably just like piss everyone off with what I say, but whatever.
You're gonna say it?
I don't fucking like anybody.
Hate them. I hate every single person. Like I am considering voting Green
Nah, I would never do that.
just because.
No, last one during COVID, I voted New Blue because fuck Doug
What's
Ford.
New Blue?
It was like a new conservative party that for people who were like fuck Doug Ford and like fuck these COVID mandates and shit.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and then if they're around and I vote, I'll vote for them. They're super tiny. I don't know if they'll get a seat. Probably won't get a seat. No. But like, fuck Doug Ford.
Fuck Doug Ford. That's the thing, right? And then you go like, what's the alternative? They're all terrible. They're fucking awful. Yeah. So like, what are we gonna do? So I'm.
I assume Dougie's gonna get a majority.
You wouldn't call an early election unless you didn't see polls were like in your favor by a absurd amount.
Fucking we're over like a year. We're a year and a half out still from what it was should have been.
Yeah.
Like fuck off.
Yeah. So I'm torn. I don't know what to do. I'm like, and I assume most people are like me, where they're like, fuck this guy. What has he done for anybody really, other than line his own goddamn pockets?
And like fucking make a goddamn mess of COVID.
Everything. The COVID was brutal. Like
I'll never forgive him for that shit.
No, like I was excited to have a conservative instead of a liberal.
I thought it'd be
Ontario.
okay, but no.
I'm like,
man.
this will be great. Our liberties aren't going to just be fucked.
Yeah.
But it turns out,
He's a liberal.
he was, because, and especially in Ontario, we're so liberal here. We're like dumb idiots who are just like, let's get rid of all our liberties as long as grandma's okay. Like, everyone, including the elderly, well, I guess in their case it made sense because they were terrified of it, right? They just capitulated to COVID, and just all the most draconian everything was just, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't know. I can't vote for him. Like, who am I going to vote for? Nobody's good. Everyone sucks.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
I want to vote for you.
I tried.
Do it again.
Last time. Yeah.
I'll give you a vote. But yeah, it's just like, God damn it. Like, we're so screwed. And like, if these steel tariffs and the automotive tariff goes in, like, Ontario's fucked.
Yeah.
We're so fucked.
Scary times. Well, I guess we gotta more people gotta learn to code.
You get banned for saying that, don't you? Like, is
that a thing now?
That's a thing, yeah. And it's always been a thing.
What the fuck?
So what would happen is people would complain that they were losing their job or whatever, and then someone would type learn to code, and then learn to code became what the kids call a dog whistle.
Oh, wow.
For like alt-right. So they were banned from, you couldn't say learn to code anymore on Twitter.
My girlfriend got laid off and she's currently learning to code. Is that bad?
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
She is right-wing extremist now.
Didn't realize.
That's how that works. So she's banned from Twitter and Facebook. You can't say that anymore. Learn to code.
Wow.
it's illegal. But yeah, it's
wonderful times we're living in.
Oh,
Man, did you see that video the other day of it was going around these I guess an American journalist went to Germany to ask them about their online censorship laws.
Terrifying.
And then the one moment she's like, so what happens when people do this or whatever? Like, oh, their devices get taken away, and she's like, oh, what happens? Like, are they surprised when they get their devices taken away? And then they're like,
they're laughing.
They are shocked. Like they're fucking.
It was terrifying.
Oh my God.
The glee and the people looked exactly like you would think these fucking Marxist assholes would look. Like he was, and you'd think for a country that has been just destroyed by Marxism, they wouldn't be slipping back into it. But here we are, slipping right back in. Like it's beautiful. Like fuck. Like they were so happy to be like. What was the one? It was like, so if someone says something, if someone says, what did they say? What did they say? It's not rude. It was something else. If they make fun of you, no, there was a word they were using. Insult.
Yeah.
That's it. If someone insults you in the street, is that illegal? Yes, of course. That's illegal.
Yes, of course.
Of course.
And it's what
happens if they do it on? Of course, it's even more online,
more illegal
because it stays there forever. Yeah, das ist of course. So we take away everything that they have in their life.
They are shocked.
And it's only like $7,000 fine. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's fine. But we have and then. But what about free speech? We have free speech, but there are limits to free speech. And it's like, well, then you don't have free speech.
That's correct.
Like
if you are free to say the approved things,
yeah. Of course, yeah. Fuck me, terrifying. And the end.
Scary times.
60 Minutes was like glorifying it, making it like happy music. It was like.
Were they really?
Yeah.
God, yeah.
It was wild. It was like it wasn't like the lady was like. This is crazy.
A dark chapter in humanity.
This is good.
Jeez.
This is so fun, yeah. Das ist gut.
We will stop the ability to speak and to think. Yeah.
Gut. Yeah, gut. This is good. Oh, okay. Like, fuck me.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
It's like poetry. Yeah. So that was terrifying. That was a good video. That was fucking frightening. So many of those videos that we're seeing nowadays were like just craziness. Did you hear the new Avowed game was released?
What's this? No.
It's basically Skyrim, but super woke.
Oh.
So
it's not selling well?
Not selling well. Not doing well. Everyone's pissed off about it. And it's like they were showing videos of like 2011 when they had Skyrim out, and then 2025 when you have this game out. And like not like they're like knocking things off in Skyrim. They're like knocking bowls and stuff off walls and shooting arrows into things. And this game's not like
Can't do
they
anything.
do the same thing. Nothing moves.
Gay.
The NPCs don't move. Nothing happens.
Wait, didn't it come out that like some of these video game companies were getting USAID money to promote gayness?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the kids want.
Jeez.
I mean, apparently.
And so like it turns out like all of this stuff was like fake all
Yep.
along. Like
Turns out Alex Jones has been fucking spot on.
they are making the frogs gay.
They are so gay now. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying when you look at all the shit that is happening. The thing I'm worried about is that I feel like the way they're going about fixing these things is a bit crazy. Like they're just like dun, 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 dun,
Like
just
slashing everything.
smashing everything, and just like at some point you're gonna break something, guys. That's
Yes,
important.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, they're cutting a lot of waste. Great job,
Yeah.
but then something probably important might get.
But I do like how like when they cut the waste, the Democrats come out and they're like, they're killing the babies, and it's like, what? No, you're giving $153 million so that Afghans can gay dance.
Yeah,
Like, no, that's not killing the babies.
and Canada is doing the same shit. Like I've tweeted or X'd or whatever a couple of things that
Thank
I
you.
saw on the
Thank you
Government
for
of Canada
fixing
website, and like I've had some of the articles about them in some of my
Oh my
videos. Like
God.
we're giving away hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to other countries for the most asinine
so
projects,
stupid.
like
And you-
like gay musical
100
plays in Ireland. Like what? What?
100% that shit is being funneled to some politician.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a chance that, like, they were talking about, they were going through the funding to Ukraine, and they're like, I think it was Ukraine that was like, we haven't seen that money. They're like, where's
What money?
this money? And they're like, go, oh no, now they can see behind the curtain.
They've built 50 new water parks.
Apparently, Zelensky or some politician in Ukraine's wife is like driving like a Maserati or something crazy, like some supercar or some shit, and it's just like, come on, guys. It's like that scene in, is it Casino or Goodfellas, where they're like, don't spend the money, guys, and the guy comes in with like a mink coat. It's like that kind of shit. It's like, at least don't make it blatant, fucking idiots. So yeah.
I mean, it's probably impossible for these people, right? Like you go, hey, here's however many billions of dollars, and like, oh my god, of
What are you gonna do?
course,
You're gonna
of
take, you're gonna wet your
course.
beak. You're gonna wet your beak.
Everyone's taking a taste.
But that's what's terrifying. It's like everyone's taking a taste, and like I'm hoping that the shit that's happening now in the States is like, oh, we're getting that in order. But my cynical side says they're just wetting their beak at some like.
I mean, probably. Like maybe it'll get a bit better, but like whoever's in charge is always using that position to their advantage.
And I mean, it's kind of useful to have the richest person in the world be the one that's trying to get rid of waste and fraud, because does he need more money?
Well, that was the reasoning behind I forget, like, was it the original like oligarchy or whatever in ancient Rome, was like, hey, let's get the most successful, richest members of the society to run things because they have the most vested interest in things going well.
Yeah.
If society crumbles, these people lose everything. So let's let them run it. And like, yeah, there's obviously the downside.
How'd that go?
Well, no, I'm
Rome's
saying
still doing great, right?
I'm saying like the downside of that is like, of course they'll use their position to like make sure they continue to have all the wealth and all the power.
I think I'm a little different. Whereas, like, if someone just gave me $10 billion, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Like, I would literally just shower all my friends with money and then give it away somewhere. Like, I can't see. So, like, maybe Elon's like that, because it seems like he lives fairly frugal. But I don't know. I get the snake oil salesman a little bit vibe from Elon Musk. So I don't know, but. I'm hoping he's closer to me than he is to like the people that are just like Scrooge McDuck on their mounds of cash they just swim in for some reason. It's like, why do you want to swim in cash? What's the point? Like, what does that do for you? Like, you can get pizza whenever you want. That's the for me, top echelon.
Well, it's an interesting thought, because you actually just reminded me of when all this tariff conversation started. I watched an old video on the Wall Street Journal's YouTube channel about tariffs. I think this was back during like Trump's first term when he started tariffing things, and they were talking, or maybe actually it might have been more recent, because they were talking about the old president that Trump keeps referencing in his talk about tariffs.
From like 1876. Or
Yeah,
something way
yeah,
back when.
right. So they were going over like that situation,
The most
and
beautiful
and
world
they were talking about how like the government at that time, they actually had such a surplus that they literally did have, like, when Trump talks about we had so much money we didn't know what to do with it, that was a real problem that the American government had at that time.
It's a rough problem.
Because like it's an interesting thought experiment though. It's like, if you're the government and you have a huge surplus, like, it serves nobody to have that money be accruing in the treasury and just sitting there.
yeah.
Like you don't want a surplus.
No,
right?
You want to at least be letting that money
like put it back into the country,
Be useful, yeah.
right? And so then they were like, well, how do we get rid of our surplus? And like the answer they came up with was tariffs. So like decrease the surplus, not increase it.
That's the reverse. But like, yeah, that's. I'm hoping that we get to a better place with the rich oligarchies. Like Trump's a billionaire, Elon's a billionaire. Do they need more money? I don't know. I feel
Trump will always think he needs more money, of course.
What drives me a little bit crazy is that they released that Trump coin.
The meme coin?
The meme coin, and it was like $18 trillion or whatever the fucking retarded amount was. It's like, what are you doing? Like, that is like, has he dumped it yet? I'm assuming
there's been a rug pull. Yeah.
And then Melania, whatever her fucking name is, did the same thing.
Melania coin. Yeah.
Did the same. It's like,
well,
don't do that.
Apparently, I was just listening to the other podcast today. The president of Argentina or whatever just he's in hot water right now for doing like the same fucking thing.
Ah, well, I'm thinking all these kids these days, they're doing the meme coins. But yeah, I'm excited and terrified as to what's going to happen in the future. I'm hoping it's going to be good. Hear my stomach?
That was funny.
Ooh, and I just ate. But what was it? The thing I'm most worried about is that recession coming, because like we have been recessionless for a long time now, and the reason we have been is because they've been pumping tons of money into the system. I was watching a video where the guy was talking about how he expected a recession in 2023, but it didn't come. And he was like, he's been right for decades and decades and decades. Like he's this is his job, right? Like this is what he does. So he had anticipated a recession in 2023. It would be somewhat big, not too bad, and then we'd be on the other side of it by now. But what he didn't take into account was that so many illegal immigrants were coming that they were artificially keeping the system afloat. Like they were doing two things at once. They had the immigration at, it was something like, normally they do like $1 million a year, and it was something at like, normally they do a certain amount, and they were doing like 15 times that. Like it was just,
yeah.
it was like here.
I think it was like 200,000 or 300,000 a year was like the max we did, and then like last year it was like $1 million in the first 9 months.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. So, but this is the States I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about us.
So I'm talking about the States.
Oh, okay.
So, but theirs is illegal immigration, right? They were having, it was the same kind of thing that we had, but it was just illegal immigration. So it had the same effect, essentially. But, so the reason that the economy didn't crash is because they had that, the people were allowing jobs to be filled, so you're not having the drop, right? Because it's low wages, right? It's suppressing wages like crazy.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of, especially when someone can't be like, I demand a higher wage, and they're like, you're gone.
Yeah,
like,
it's like, you are so replaceable.
So replaceable that it just depresses wages so much. And that's a way for that, so that corporations and companies keep their costs down, right? Like it keeps the cost down, makes sure inflation doesn't go up, it makes sure that it makes sure all this stuff. So that's one side of it. The other side is they were actually spending it was something like $1 trillion every 100 days, which is the type of spending you have when you're in a war, like you're in a crisis thing. So they had crisis spending during peacetime, and there was no war and no pandemic and none of this. So that was keeping the system afloat, right? Like they had unprecedented amounts of spending and unprecedented amounts of immigration, and that wasn't in his. Because that had never been seen before, so it wasn't in his.
Well, he'd assume that wasn't going to happen.
They didn't have it. So when they looked at it, they realized, okay, that's clearly what was keeping the everything afloat. Well, now everything's being turned off, right? The ICE is going in. You see all these videos where they're literally just like taking people away and all this shit. And a lot of people just left because as soon as they found out that Trump was elected, they're like, oh, free ride's over.
Yeah.
Get out before we get in trouble.
Right.
Kind of thing. So, and they had two reports. They had a report where it was like, and this is released by the same company, the government company that does it. It was like, the one report said one thing where it was like, oh, we're doing great, guys. And then when it was revised to the same company, was like, oh, we're screwed, guys. And the only thing that explains it is that a vast number of people just stopped working. Like, unaccounted for people just stopped working.
Right.
So it's not like jobs were created. It's like the vacancies allowed people to get like actual accounted for people to get jobs.
Right.
So this stuff is clear as day when you look at it. It's like, oh no, and that's essentially what we did here, right? And the crazy part is the stimulus that was required, the crisis level stimulus, was because they needed to pay for the immigrants who were here.
That's crazy.
So I don't know if Canada did the same thing because I don't have this disease there, but I assume it's very similar because they're all in lockstep.
Well,
so I imagine
I've
that's
seen-
where a lot of our budget went to, was to help these immigrants.
Yeah, like I
be
haven't
subsidized.
I haven't verified this, but I did see a figure going around the internet that said something like the average person, like newcomer to Canada, gets around like $60,000 to $70,000 worth of government
That's
benefits per
crazy.
year.
Yeah.
Like that's more than the median like Canadian salary.
Yeah.
Like what the
So,
fuck?
but that's the only thing you can do to keep this system afloat, right? Like you can't. It's not sustainable. You can't keep it up forever. But that's a way so you can say, hey, we're not in a recession because our economy is doing pretty good. But
GDP per capita is down, and you've spent more than every other government in Canada combined.
that's just it. Your expenses go way up as a population, and so which is bad because now you have to pay for that debt sometime, Glenn.
Interest rates are historical lows, Glenn.
So you have to you can't keep doing that forever. At some point, the music stops. You got to find a chair, and we're so fucked now that the music is going to stop because even the Liberals are like, "Uh-oh, we're not going to get in unless we stop the music."
Yeah.
So it's like you stop the music, you stop the infusion of money. Like, we're gonna hit a hard recession. I think we could have had because a recession is good. A recession obviously isn't good for the people that lose their jobs, but essentially what it does is it takes the shit in the economy that isn't working and it cleans it out. Essentially, it's tough for the people that get on hard times, but it's needed in an economy for it to function efficiently. And we haven't had a recession since 2008. It's been a long time. Usually they come at a 10-year interval, and it's been a long fucking time, right? We've been pumping this thing so much, and this new scheme was to just, hey, under inclusivity, we'll just pretend, and then we'll hopefully. I think they were hoping that they could just get elected again, but I don't know. At some point, again, the music stops, and we're all fucked. So that's my big fear. Anyways, there's my rant. Thoughts?
I think we need to spend even more to build up our military, and then we can at least defend ourselves. Because here's the thing: if you owe the bank $1,000, you've got a problem. But if you owe the bank $1 trillion, the bank's got a problem.
That's true. I'm confused.
No, I mean, obviously I hate the debt, but it seems like we're at a time in history where we need to be more focused on defending our sovereignty.
But our debt isn't excessive. Our debt is what, $1.5 trillion, something like that? Comparatively, that's not terrible.
That's what I mean. I hate it. I just as in general, I don't like debt. No, I wish we had no debt, but there are we still need to spend.
I think the fact that we've been so woefully pathetic in our military spending is a joke, and it's there's no bigger spit in the face of the U.S. who is come on, guys, we're essentially the hat of America. So if we suck, then if we get taken over, then America's right on deck, right? Yeah. So at least as a show of good faith, we could have at least done our part in the military.
Oh man, it burns me up that we have people in charge who are not doing their job and taking the responsibility seriously with regards to the security of our country.
But then you have to think, why?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
Corruption.
It's corruption. Yeah. It's because you're being paid by the countries that want you to have a poor military, right? And
Dude,
the U.S. is not one of those countries.
I'd be very happy to see all the people who are in charge of this debacle in jail for sheer incompetence and putting the security of the country at risk.
If we could have accountability in government, oh my God,
it'd be amazing.
Oh my God,
fix everything.
I always think about this every once in a while, where I'm I wish I had the power of an X-Men that just or Superman that can't die, and you could just go around and police and be hey. What's going on here? Hey,
get to the bottom of this.
Let's figure this out. And I get that thought, and I'm that'd be amazing. And you just ask people what's going on, and then figure out what's going on because you can't. You're just all powerful.
These are the fantasies of a toddler.
And this is what I want in our government. Now, obviously, you probably don't want to give anybody that kind of power. That sounds like it might end poorly. But I wish there was some semblance of accountability.
Well, that's the thing with monarchies is like when they're going well, they're the best form of government. When they're going poorly, they're the worst form of
that's true.
government.
I guess that's true. We're still just a fucking monarchy, eh?
Basically, but like, why? Because the fucking like the king's not doing shit, and his representative literally just allowed our parliament to be suspended for partisan reasons for the Liberals. So, like, I don't think the monarchy's really helping us out at the moment.
No, it doesn't. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, at least the states has checks and balances to make sure that it doesn't get too off the rails. Like, I'm hoping. It's hard to say, but it seems like right now they went from one way to another way, right? So we can at least say something's going on, right? There's been they went from far left and now they're going to the right, right? So we can say that
There's been movement.
there's been movement. Whereas Canada hasn't had movement in fucking forever.
10 years, yeah.
Not even 10 years. It's like even our conservatives weren't that conservative.
Yeah, but Stephen Harper didn't hate Canada.
No, he didn't. But is it hate or is it
No,
just...
Trudeau must, like, he says he loves Canada, but his actions say otherwise.
Yeah, well, exactly. You don't listen to what someone says. You listen to what...
You look at what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what he
So-
does says he hates Canada. He called us a post-national state with no core identity.
But now he doesn't.
Oh,
Now
all of a sudden. Isn't
now
that
we're-
interesting?
Yeah.
Isn't that
now we have
fucking
an
interesting?
identity. We're Canadians again.
Yeah.
Now that we have an outside threat where tariffs are going to destroy us. Now we're Canadians again.
It's like everyone who made their identity being like Mr. Pride progress person is like, oh, all of a sudden flying Canadian flags again there, eh? All of a sudden.
That's right, eh? Especially when we beat them nearly half the time.
Especially when we beat them in football nearly half the time.
Or Conor McDavid slams on them. Woo! Fuck you, Hellebuck.
Yeah, that was a sick fucking goal.
I didn't make that save, though.
Yeah,
100%.
great game. Great tournament.
Fantastic. Man.
Fucking awesome. All right, well, on that note, this has been a great chat.
Not bad.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for talking.
Sorry, I'm so ranty.
No, it was good. And yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. God bless Canada.